This is Twit.
Very noticeable. You got another Carbide Series case in from Corsair, the 678C low noise tempered glass case. You've been busy this week, man.
Yeah.
That's
multiple reviews done and working on even more. But yeah, you said subtle.
Yeah, I don't see any shiny lights up front. There is a giant glass door on it, but it's chill in there. I also saw a major unicorn vomit PC build lately that I think I counted 9 fans inside of it, all of which were doing sort of rainbow blasts. So it was like Cuckoo Cloud Land from the Lego movie.
Once you get started, maybe, there are people who have addictions to things, Patrick, and maybe RGB lighting is one of them. And you put one fan in and that's not enough. And then there's 12 fans later. You run out of space and there's like underglow lighting and backlighting and, just your average Twitch streamer in 2019. Anyway, back to subtle RGB-less enclosures with, plain non-lighted fans. This is an effort from Corsair. The last Corsair case I looked at a couple weeks ago was their Crystal series, which all glass, on most of the sides and RGB lighting. This one doesn't have that. Very much in the style of fractal design, right down to the brushed finish on the front. And in many ways, very similar to the Define R6, the latest generation of that popular Define low noise case series. So Corsair's take on it is very similar styling to that. It still offers an optical bay, which is nice if you still want to put a Blu-ray drive in there, and has excellent component clearance support, good cooling support. There's sound damping panels on the top, which is you can actually switch out, just like with the Fractal case. There's a mesh filter for the top. You can put in a solid panel that is lined with the same noise dampening material that's behind the front door, which opens and closes with a magnetic closure. And also the rear panel has some very thick noise damping material in it. So they've taken some steps to reduce the overall noise, even though the fans that come pre-installed, they're 340 millimeter fans in this that are not loud. So overall, just super understated. And I will point out the glass panel on this. There's a lot of cases with tempered glass. Fewer of them are hinged. This is of the hinged variety. So it closes with magnets, and then it's on a sturdy hinge. You never have to lose thumb screws or try to, I've definitely, with all the tempered glass cases, even though I'm lucky enough never to have broken a tempered glass side panel yet, I've definitely lost the little thumb screws before, where you take the side panel off, you go to put it back on, and now you only have 3 thumb screws for some reason, and the other one just never materializes again. So I'm always a fan of any kind of door that opens on a hinge or has some sort of a latch built into it. It's so much easier to manage. And that's definitely a selling point in this favor. But thermal and noise performance, it's an enclosure. A lot of this is going to be dependent on the components that you use. Although I will say, even though this is built for silence, the airflow is better than I expected. There is just the one intake surrounding that front door. And this is completely closed off. Yeah, it's a big intake, but Fractal's take on this is to put holes all around the door, and there are none to be found here. They definitely took it to the next level as far as trying to make this as quiet as possible, where there's just one slot down at the bottom of the door. But I think that they were saved by their decision to make the bottom of the case. I have at least one picture in the review. You can see the bottom of the case, which is like a shroud that covers the power supply and cable mess and stuff. It has perforations all over it. So air is drawn up through the bottom through a screen filter, is drawn right up through the sort of false bottom of the case, and allows a lot more air in than otherwise would have been the case with that very small opening in the front panel. So long story short, better airflow than expected.
I've got one of the earlier Carbide Series 600Q, which I'm kind of glancing over here because it's right down there. And for that one, they did a couple of interesting choices where it had a similar panel up front. One, I love the fact that they put the actual dust catcher, cat fur catcher, on the front of the outside of that, because with this one, it's really, really awkward to clean. This older case, it's awkward to clean the screening on that. But they do also have the screening on the bottom, and I want to say that the screening on the bottom with the airflow going in, you can see I have some amazing pictures of what that looks like after about 6 months. If you live in a house with children and pets, and it's something it's easy to forget that it's down there on the bottom, but because it's on the bottom and drawing air in, it will gather copious amounts of dust and fur and mayhem. It's interesting also to see how they've changed the design, because with mine, they've got sort of this strange, there's the faint front plate, and then there's like a 1-inch gap all the way around where the air gets pulled through, and it looks like they kind of cleaned up some of that to make it a little quieter. I also realized that I may have finally run a system for so long for the first time in years. I'm going to need to upgrade the fans, replace the fans on it. So it's going to be interesting to sort of tear this thing down and see if it's actually the fans or if there's something restricting airflow through the fans that are giving them the noise I'm hearing. It's funny though, because for so long I was changing cases so often, I never really wore out any fans. So I'm kind of like, oh, I think those are bearings that are going. They're not squealing yet, but the fans are actually making more noise. And they're like, oh, did I wear them out? Did I finally kill them? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a very long time for me too. I spent 5 years reviewing cases, so you review one case and then it's take all the components out onto the next. So I never had components in a case for longer than a week. Which, always have nice clean fans, and I haven't cleaned a screen filter in 5 years. So there's that.
There's that.
Yeah.
These are positive things.